as a terrible bit of news to the dozens of people that were looking forward to Marathon. The folks over there got caught stealing a few assets from an individual on Twitter, and we are going to talk about that today. Hi, my name's Ojiro. I've been working in games for like a decade and a half now, and we don't usually see the kind of thing that we saw out of Bungie this past week, where they are called, like, a company is called out for stealing a tremendous number of assets, and hell, even the entire theme for their game from somebody that's not working at the company. Now, oh man, this is really bad. There's really no other way to put it. From everyone that's kind of looked at Marathon, I think we've all come to the same conclusion that game needs a lot more time to cook. It is not going to be ready in its current state for its release later this year. And the big hooks for the game, which were the ranked play and this magical, like, fourth map, they're not coming out by the time for release. Initially, I was like, oh, well, this company, they just need a little more time. Hopefully they can delay it and try and fix any kinds of the issues. But given everything that we've been looking at this point, I don't know if anyone has any real faith in this company anymore. And to be fair, if you still had faith in Bungie, you've got a lot of faith. This is really disappointing to see in a lot of levels. It's part of this thing that they're talking about here. They're saying, oh, you know, hundreds of artists worked on this game and, like, this is a big deal. And as much as I appreciate a lot of artists and, like, their hard work, and because art is something that I cannot do at all, I'm really bad at it. But for those 200 people, those 200 artists that were working on this Marathon, what are they working on? We've got a game that has terribly ugly looking characters, guns that look like they're out of Roblox, and the little bits of art where people were like, wow, this looks, you know, this is a cool aesthetic. Turns out they lifted the whole thing, the whole feeling from this individual on Twitter. I am blown away. And to have them just to, when I saw all this coming down, initially was like, oh, well, this, you know, of course it's a former employee that's done this. And then people brought up quite rightfully that pretty much everyone that was a senior artist over at Bungie is following this artist on Twitter. They've known about this person for a while now. So this is not something where it's just, oh, they had no idea who this artist was. It was a single rogue person that was doing this. A lot of folks that worked at Bungie knew this person. They knew their art. And they've largely just kind of copied a lot of that aesthetic. So you've got the one thing in this game that some people were like, okay, I can dig the aesthetic of the game. It's not out of Bungie. Gunplay's boring. The core gameplay loop's boring. Characters are ugly. And they got all this feedback in their open beta. Or sorry, I guess it was closed beta. So this closed beta comes out. No one cares to play it. I'm sure that was a huge morale hit to the team. And now you've got everyone calling the entire studio a bunch of art thieves. And think of the morale of the company now. They need to have all the energy that they can to try and salvage this game so that their entire studio doesn't get shut down. Sony spent $3.4 billion on this studio, and it has not done anything really to make that return on investment for Sony. This is quite possibly the last chance that Bungie has before it's finally, you know, taken out and buried in the backyard, which, to be fair, should have been done a long time ago, but that's neither here nor there. Now, I don't know how they're going to resolve this, quite frankly. Now, the best for them would be the Twitter artist is like, yeah, it's no big deal. Just give me, like, you know, a small check of money, and then it gets resolved. I wonder if some lawyers have reached out to this individual to say, hey, I'll take this case for free, because they could potentially make millions of dollars off of this just representing this person. And it's a mess. It's a huge mess. It's a huge mess for a studio that can't afford to have any kind of negative press lest they just get shut down, because that may just happen here. We may see at the end of the year the last 800 people at Bungie just get let go. Whenever you're stealing something from another company or an individual like this, it's never worth it. We had policies at some of the older places that I worked at. And I had colleagues that would confirm this for other places as well, where if somebody would, like, mail something into the company where they'd be like, hey, I have this idea for a feature, will you look at it? A lot of those cases, those documents had to be destroyed. We could not as a matter of policy. Like if people made some kind of like, oh, it would be cool for X, Y, or Z on like social media, it's kind of whatever. But for people that were like really passionate and they were like, hey, I want you to build this thing. Uh, a lot of policy things were just we couldn't even open them. It was we got them as soon as we were like, oh, they're pitching a feature or something, and we had to just like shred them, send them to document shredder, or put them in one of those. We had these like big trash can things where you like just throw your paper in and they shredded it for you. One of the shredding services, because we didn't, from the legal side of things, we couldn't afford to look at a feature somebody sent in and said, oh, this is really great, put it in, and potentially have them sue us if they said that we stole their feature without like, giving them money or crediting them, because we would effectively be stealing their work. Um, it's a really big deal. A lot of uh, game companies also are super worried about making things that are too close to at least some companies. Like basically everyone in the industry knows, don't do anything that's even remotely close to like a Disney property, because Disney will destroy you. And I've only been at one place where someone got caught stealing something, and it was back in the Flash era. We had, every so often people would reach out to our company and be like, "Hey, if you pay us $100,000, we'll tell you that some other company has stolen your code." And it was ActionScript 3. Like it was not a special language. It wasn't, it just wasn't a big deal. We didn't care. But you know who did care? Zynga, the makers of Farmville. So their legal team sent our legal team a letter. They were like, "Hey, you stole some of our code on this game that you made." And our higher ups collectively freaked out, because at that time, Zynga was at the top of the world. There was no other game company on earth that was as valuable in the like in the eyes of investors, even if like maybe it hadn't hit zenith yet. But the level of growth that Zynga was on was unparalleled to everyone else. So they, the higher ups of the company are like, okay, well, who could it possibly have been on this game team? And we had one ex Zynga employee that was on our team. So they go over to him and they're like, "Hey, we got accused of stealing code from Zynga. Do you know anything about this?" And this absolute genius says, "Well, yeah, I wrote it at Zynga. It was good code, which is why I used it here." Uh, within 24 hours of receiving that notice, this guy was fired. He went from employee to former employee pretty fast. But yeah, this stuff, you cannot do it. It is unbelievably bad. And if we look at basically all the marketing for this game that's come out, everything, all the trailers, all the little bits of art that they've posted everywhere, they're all using this artist's work. They've basically put this huge marketing, blitz all over the place, where this artist's work is front and center. Like even like the weird things where it's like, oh, like no one will get that. Like they've found it and they're like, hey, it looks like they actually stole this too. With the reference to loss, which I didn't even understand this like weird like thing. But hey, it's a thing and they stole it. They put it everywhere. I will be surprised if Bungie makes it to the end of the year. And for the folks that are at Bungie, it's really difficult, because they need to try and, get off this crazy train. And there's just not a lot of spots that are open in the games industry right now. A lot of investment money is not flowing into games, especially not AAA, because it's AAA. Can you really blame them? But where are these 800 people going to go? A lot of them are not going to go anywhere. A lot of them are going to have to leave the games industry, I bet. Which is unfortunate, because I'm sure that a lot of them are actually really talented individuals in their own way. The leadership at Bungie is terrible. I it's really bad. this this game should be much further along given the amount of time, effort, and money that they've put in. They're like, oh, well, this was put in back in 2020. It's like, it's 5 years, dude. This game looks like this game's really bad. What are you guys doing? So I think it's just a matter of time before this studio is closed and Sony takes this IP and they give it to others that can actually make things. Because even if they've got the individual contributors that can put forth the effort, the leadership's not there. And if you don't have good leadership, it doesn't matter how many good individuals you have, you're not going to be able to get any kind of decent work out of them put together into a large scale game like we see in Marathon. Because again, their whole start is we had hundreds of artists working on this, and the hundreds of artists gives us 3 maps, ugly characters, ugly guns, you know, what you'd expect from hundreds of artists. But yeah, this is hugely disappointing from them. I'm not terribly surprised given their track record, but uh, I I don't see this company lasting much longer, guys. Uh, maybe I'm wrong. If you guys think that they still have it in them, you can put something in the comments. Tell me that I'm totally wrong and they're going to totally pull it off. But I don't see it. But that is it for now for me. I'm sure we'll hear about more things that they've possibly stolen because if they've stolen from one person, I wouldn't be surprised if they stole from others while they were at it. Uh, this is going to be, we'll be hearing about this for like months as it goes on, I'm sure. But other than that, I hope y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and I hope to see you all again in a future video. Farewell.